With Russia launching attacks against civilians in Ukraine's two largest cities, the situation on the ground in Ukraine is becoming dire.
And that leaves Ukrainians in our area struggling to reach friends and family and send help. Our next guest is leading some of the local relief efforts. And joining us now, President of the Ukrainian National Women's League of America, Natalie Pawlenko. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
Natalie, we've seen this all unfold over social media. We've seen Russians stepping up their aggression in Ukraine, attacking some major civilian buildings. What are your friends and family telling you this morning and as of lately?
So friends and family who are in Ukraine are not in regular contact. Oftentimes the communication channels are interrupted. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, one of the major TV and satellite towers was bombed. So contact is sometimes spotty, even with the satellites that have recently been put over Ukraine. So, but what I am hearing is that the women who are able to take children, especially disabled children, this is one of the most heartbreaking parts of this, is that there are lots of sick children who have nowhere to go. Hospitals are also being attacked. So what we're hearing is that people are spending a lot of time in their basements, in bunkers, and trying to do the best they can.
And when you're speaking to them about this, what are they asking for the U.S. to do, for NATO to do? Because we keep imposing these sanctions, but it does not seem to stop any of that further aggression. Are they saying anything on that front, what they would like to see the U.S. do or NATO do?
So there are three things that are top of mind, I think, for everyone, not just in Ukraine, is that for the world to continue to stay aware and educated about what's going on. Two, they ask that if people in the United States or anywhere else in the world still have family in Russia, that they should make an effort to communicate to them what is going on. Russian media is so limited, is so controlled, that the people of Russia literally have no idea of what is really transpiring. There was a heartbreaking story that was released yesterday of a young soldier who was deployed from Crimea into Ukraine. And he said, we thought that the Ukrainians we were told they were going to be greeting us with flowers. They're shooting at us. I'm afraid. So that's the second thing, inform the folks still living in Russia. The third thing is to advocate where you can. They say, please, take every possible step that you can in order to continue to impose the sanctions on Russia that will hurt. So for example, if your pension fund is still investing in Russia, maybe that's not a good idea. And then the fourth and the final thing, which many people are already doing, is donate to a reliable humanitarian agency such as ours. The Ukrainian National Women's League of America has been around since 1925. Humanitarian relief is not new to us. We were engaged when the Great Famine, the Holodomor, unfolded in Ukraine in 1932, 1933, and we've been engaged in relief efforts in Ukraine since then.
So Natalie, let me ask you something. Are you
Yes.
looking for canned goods, blankets, or are you looking for cash?
Right now, the most effective way of helping is to donate money, because we are doing one of two things. Naturally, we're purchasing goods here, and there's been a lot of contributions from many sides. Those things take time to transport to Poland, where they're then being trucked into Ukraine.
Right.
The faster thing to...
Right. I'm wondering, those people who fled to Poland, do you think they're ever coming back? Have you talked to any of them who were there?
I have not. I know that there's over 500,000 people who are in Poland, and our parent organization, the World Congress of Ukrainians, is actively engaged in the humanitarian relief there. It's hard to say. I know that people's hearts are breaking to leave home. If it were me, I know I'd want to go home, back to my house, back to my family, back to my town. I can only imagine what they're going through.
What'd you think of President Biden's speech last night? Did it go far enough?
I think that everyone is hoping for this war to end, and everyone hopes that there's more. I think people understand the limitations of what is currently available. Naturally, Ukrainians were hoping for more and hoping for more aid.
Right. Well, we thank you for what you're doing for your countrymen and for the world. And we're going to make sure people go to your site. The president of the Ukrainian National Women's League of America, Natalie Pawlenko. We appreciate you coming on. Good day. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Okay.